With regard to these charges of entrapment, you know, a lot of pieces were written last week that Flynn was entrapped in this interview. And the special counsel came out and felt compelled to say, no, this was not entrapment. We were not there to set you up. But what did you do? How did that strike you?
Well, I don't think that's right. I think a lot of people are misinterpreting the issue. The question, as Mueller put it, was, did he lie or was he treated unfairly? And the answer to that question is both are true. He did lie. He had the opportunity not to lie. Nobody could figure out why he would lie. He obviously knew there were transcripts. But the second question is, was he treated unfairly? The answer is absolutely yes. Told not to have a lawyer present, made to relax, made to feel that this was just an opportunity to kind of schmooze with some FBI buddies, and then they spring the trap on him. He fell for the trap, but they sprung the trap. They asked him a question to which they already knew the answer, not for purposes of learning the truth. They knew the truth, but for purposes of giving him an opportunity to lie. The question for the American public is, do we want the FBI to be springing morality tests on our citizens, criminal morality tests, giving them the opportunity to lie, giving them the opportunity to tell the truth? That's not a proper function of law enforcement, and I would hope the judge would see that and would say something about that.
Okay, last point on that.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk Headline series. I'm your host Jay, and this is The Objective. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Season 2. Be sure to check out politicalstorm.com. You can also find me on Instagram at The Objective Podcast. Today's episode is not going to be very long at all, believe it or not. I just wanted to speak to you guys about the Michael Flynn matter. There was some news today that stated that his sentencing will be delayed until, or postponed until, March 13. Now, this Flynn case has been going on for some time, and there's been some complications. And one of the things that stuck out to me was the fact that FBI documents came out confirming that Michael Flynn was not given his constitutional right to legal aid or to have a lawyer present when being interviewed by authorities. Now, that's a huge thing, especially in the world of, criminal matters. Now, I'm not a legal expert, but I do have experience with the charter rights and cautions here in Canada. Now, whenever you're arrested for a crime or suspected of, being responsible for a crime, you are to be given your charter rights. Okay, so it's a document that the police officer will read, and in that document, it essentially states you have the right to speak to a lawyer. That is your right. Okay, you have a right to speak to a lawyer, and the caution, we call it the charter and caution. The caution states that you don't have to say anything you don't want to. You don't have to tell me anything, but whatever you do say can be used against you in the court of law. Now, this is important because it's so important to give a suspect or an offender the right to legal aid. That's their right, okay? It's not the job of law enforcement to entrap people. So those documents came out confirming the fact that Flynn never was able to exercise those rights. He was under the impression it was a conversation with the boys. You know what I'm saying? So, to give you an example, just say you arrest someone for murder, okay? And you start questioning, how'd you do it? What weapon did you use? Where's the weapon? Blah, blah, blah. And this person starts giving information without having the right to contact a lawyer. There's a big chance, folks, I'm almost 100% positive that case will be thrown out, because it's pivotal in the West, of course. Now, the way other people do it in different countries is different. The way that their legal system works is different. But in the West, it's so important that, if you are arrested of a crime, you're innocent until proven guilty, and that you have a right to seek legal aid. So when that came out that Flynn wasn't given that opportunity, wasn't afforded that opportunity, now that, folks, in my prediction, I'm going to say that this case is going to be thrown out. His guilty plea will be thrown out. Now, I'm not saying that he's right. I'm not saying that what he did was right. Obviously, what he did was wrong. You're not to lie to the FBI. Now, the circumstances surrounding the whole ordeal are very shifty and politically charged. Now, Alan Dershowitz, what he said is that lying to the FBI, like he put it really nicely. As a matter of fact, I think I will put that clip at the beginning of this video. But he's essentially saying that if the lie is material to the case, that's one thing. But if it's not, if the FBI knows the answer to something and then they ask it to you just to entrap you into a lie, that's not how it goes. That's not how lying to the FBI goes. So I'm sure if Flynn is indicted, this is going to cause legal precedent, and in the worst ways. Another thing, yes, shifting gears here away from the legal matter, but just one last thing. Obviously, like, and just for any of you reading or watching this right now, if you are pulled over, if you are arrested by authorities, it is your right, and make sure you are able to speak to a lawyer. That is drilled into police officers' heads in the academy. Lawyers look for that when they're going through charge packages. They make sure that the offender, the suspect, had the right to counsel, because what a lawyer will tell anyone is don't say a thing. Don't say anything. They're trying to trap you, whether it be into perjury, whether, it's always safest. Don't say anything until I've had a chance to speak to you and understand what's going on. The next thing, and you know what? I don't know the entirety of this story, but it's on my mind. So I want to just let you guys hear what I got to say about this. One thing that makes the West, and the last podcast I had discussed about why the West is the best, right? One thing that's so pivotal and reminded me why the West is the best is recently that soldier who killed the bomb maker. I believe he is Taliban. He killed the Taliban bomb maker, but it wasn't an act of war. Pardon my ignorance, guys. I don't know if he was in custody, whatever the case may be. It's not really important to my point here. He is being charged with murder. And in the back of my head, I'm saying, well, I mean, when you think about it, if you let that guy go, he's probably going to kill hundreds, maybe even thousands with a bomb or bombs that he's going to make. So, ends justify the means. That's what I want to think. But it's so important to remember due process. It's so important to understand that the reason why the West is so great is because the principles that fuel the West. And it's easy to side with the soldier. It's easy to say the ends justify the means, but it brings me in a weird way. It brings me a sense of happiness knowing that we actually, for the most part, operate off of a set of principles that sets us apart from the rest of the world. So it's just a thought for you guys. Definitely check out the story. I'll put a link in the bottom, in the description of this video. Sorry, I don't have all the particulars, but I just wanted to put that in there. Principles are the things, or are one of the things that separate the West from the rest of the world. The underlying and the fundamental principles that we follow, that we live by: due process, innocent or presumed innocent until proven guilty. These things are things that we've grown up with, we've lived with for our lives, and sometimes we can marginalize them. And it's not until we're put into a situation or we see some of the things that happen in other parts of the world that we can really appreciate these privileges that we have. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope it made you think about something, reflect on something. But thanks for stopping by, and make sure to make it your goal to be objective. Have a good night.